Hello YouTube. It's been a while. I'm sorry, it seems like a lot of people got upset. It's been quite a few months since I've done my last update. Just been in the mode of working on trains at the train room and also just at my workbench. So I didn't feel like editing or just grabbing a camera and doing an update. So here I am. I've been guilted into doing an update long enough. I've been doing a lot of things: structures, trains, getting new equipment, getting the tracks running, working on occupancy detection in the staging area, been laying track, been working on the switchback going up to the new, or the second level. I did get a new Blackstone engine just a couple days ago. That's a C19 280. I got it unlettered because I do freelance. I will be putting custom decals on that, on the tender and the cab, and then weathering it up. It gave me a good excuse to start officially wiring the narrow gauge trackage. I've been focusing my attention on the standard gauge. Even this track that's right next to it, I wired that up, wired all the other standard gauge and everything, but I never had an actual narrow gauge engine to run on the narrow gauge track. Now that I do, I started right away on hooking up all the droppers and feeds to the bus, which you can see under here. This is under Gasko yard. I use the suitcase connectors. I may get a couple different styles. It looks like a new feeder roll. I got 1 gauge thinner than before, and it seems like these blue suitcase connectors are IDCs by 3M. These are knockoffs actually. They don't crimp onto the thinner gauge wire. I have to work at it, or even just like almost crush the connector to get it to connect. As you can see, I experimented on soldering a couple joints right here to see if it worked any better. It does, but that's a pain in the ass. Plus the fear of solder dropping on my leg or somewhere even more sensitive is there. So I try to avoid soldering underneath upside down. So a lot of the track is done in Gasko yard. I do have to put the service facility turntables going here, tracks going to engine houses and water towers and ash pits and all that stuff will go in here. Any kind of siding or spur I have to put into any of the industries. All the turnouts are in place, but the spurs are not in place. And that goes for everything around the layout. Again, here is the end of the line of the narrow gauge for now, but eventually that will wrap around to this area where the sawmill is going to be, and also the standard gauge spur going to the sawmill for the pickup finished goods. In the town of Smithville, you can see a lot of the freight I have over here. Got it out of the way because I'm working over in Gasko yard, so I just sit it off on the other side of the layout. Got some structures that I've been working on. That is a little bar, juke joint. Got pool tables inside in there. It lights up once I have it all installed. Got pool tables and everything, people playing pool and sitting at the bar and everything in there. One that I'm almost done is this. Is going to be a plumbing supply, Paulser's Plumbing, in honor of my good friend Shane. He's an HVAC guy, needed a plumbing supply on the layout. It's not going to go exactly in these positions, but I'm just feeling out size and how it is. These two structures are going to go in Smithville because Shane lives in Smithville, and this bar is representing a location in Smithville also, in the real town that I grew up near. This is a Campbell kit that I worked on last year. Just placing it there just to size it up. It's approximately going to go there. May shift left or right a little bit. other little structures. These two are bar mills. This one here is a tire supply. I didn't put any tires or any super details on it. It may just be a supply shack. Doesn't have to be tires. This one here is another bar mills that my kids and my wife got for me for a birthday present, and I built that a few months back. I finished that. This here is a kit bash from two, I think it's AHM kits, or maybe like model power type of kits. They're the basic freight. You can kind of see the profile, what's left of it here. This is the original profile of the structure. I think it was, his name was Art Curran, I think it was, in Model Railroaders back in the 80s. And he did a kit bash using two of those kits, this basic general freight house kits, and came up with this structure. It's a neat footprint. It's an L shape. Using the two kits, cutting it and bashing it. I started this literally when I was probably 13, I think, 14, and it's been sitting around in boxes, moving around. As you can see, joints are busted and everything. I might use this as a prototype, a test fit, but it's going to be like a fish cannery type of building for this area, in the harbor area. You can see this pencil line. That's where I'm thinking where the water is going to be, in this harbor. I'll have a small lift bridge represented here, so in essence it will lift up and down, not literally, but the model will represent that, so that the ships can come into the little inlet and deliver to the couple industries that are here. The main oceanfront, Seaside, which this town is Seaside, will be in this front part here, which will be dropped down. There'll be the rock coastline. There'll be a shipyard here for building some of the older sailing ships. Over here, I'm looking to add a lighthouse in this corner, coming out on a small jetty area. And then the feel for this will be more of a build-up seaside waterfront scene. Similar to this, I got this narrow gauge Gazette. This is the May-June issue of 2013. And the cover story is Smugglers Cove. And I really enjoy the feel and look of this little almost diorama type layout. Let's see if I can get some pictures here. Here we go. You can see in Smugglers Cove, there's a lot of build-up scenes and a lot of structures kind of stacked on top of each other. This is a feel that I'm going to try and get in that area. A little bit more modern, not as backdated as this, but still the same seaside feel to it. I like how the structures and stuff are built right up on the water. A lot of pilings and stuff, a lot of detail, a lot of good stuff in there. So you'll see that scene when you first come in the layout room. Here I was just sketching up the town of Smithville, trying to get a feel for what I wanted. Just grab a pencil and a big sheet of paper and go to town. This will be the passenger station, little freight station for the town of Smithville. That will be in the center where this consolidated is. That'll sit in this area in between the sidings, the passing sidings. Another industry in this back corner being serviced by this spur where the K4 is. I probably won't be running the K4. It's just there. On this spur coming off this direction will be a fuel dealer, coal dealer, that is represented here. I might scratch build something there. This station, if I find a great kit for it, I will probably kit bash it into what I want it to look like. Or I found a nice plan on the internet where I probably might end up scratch building the whole thing. I'm just getting some ideas. yeah, I kind of envision a few more structures along the lines of like the RDA type of structures to fill in this area. There'll probably be a nice road scene and a couple more structures in the front, along the front here, because I do have some space between the tracks and the front of the fascia. I can get a few detail scenes that drop it down a little bit, give it some elevation, some character. That will transition into eventually the swab mill area, which is now my tool station. It's where I keep all my hand laying track and all the main tools that I work on. That comes in handy. Just throw a piece of plywood up on your bench work and keep it organized. As you can see, all my pliers and cutters and stuff are here. Knives, files, and track laying back in here. Nails and nail sets and stuff are on this section. It just makes it easy. You know where the stuff is, grab it and go. Recent purchase. Another purchase I made is the Pico narrow gauge HON3 track. This is all their flex track. It's a meter long, and I buy this for the hidden areas. All the track that's visible is all hand laid. Any hidden stuff I use flex track. I was using micro engineering. That is getting a lot harder to find right now. It's very similar to the Atlas track situation. So I scarfed this up before I had nothing to choose from. I hope they start bringing back some manufacturing to the United States. Not only will it make it easier to get things, it'll give Americans jobs. What a novice idea. Let's not get political. Move on. Another major project that I've been working on is the switchback going up to Mine Mount and the logging area. Again, the trains will come out of the yard, go around across the big trestle bridge, and back here is a turnout. That's actually a, I think it's a Shinohara dual gauge. I'll probably be pulling that out and putting a fast tracks hand lay track that I do. Put that in there, and the train will work its way up the grade. Here on this part of the track, the grades jump up to about 3.5% in some areas, mainly on this stretch, this second section of the switchback, and then it'll level out up here. The scene will be the train coming out. There'll be a hill hiding it and stuff all in this area. It'll be hidden behind here, and you can look from the trestle bridge area. You'll be able to look down this scene through the woods as the track snakes through, and I'll probably be eventually cutting this back, because as you can see it's pretty close to the track here. But what I want to do is cut this section back, maybe even a foot or so, and have that part at the ravine where the waterfall and everything is, and there'll be a dead end, like a trestle bridge this track comes out on, just to give the train length that it can snake back that way. Just give it a little bit more character. I think that'll look pretty cool. And then the track in the back is the third switchback level here. That will go along the back. I'll end up having a very close backdrop right there with the trees hiding it and stuff, because the track does come within probably 2 or 3 inches of the backdrop back there. And it will poke through the opening, the upper level opening that goes back to the rise back here in the staging area. Okay, that's the end of the line right now from the switchback. That will be going above my standard gauge staging area, which is pretty much laid down and done. I'll get back to that. This here will wrap around very similar to the lower staging. I might install a, instead of just a single track going up, I might install a storage track. So it'll almost be like a one-track staging for the narrow gauge. And that will fairly be level, and then at both ends it'll give some grade to rise up to this hole here. That will poke out in the main room to go to mine mount in the lumber area. Before I leave this room, so I don't have to crawl around on my hands and knees much, in here I did some occupancy detection. You can see these little dots here and here. They are on all 4 tracks. In essence, this part right here splits the staging into 3 staging tracks and a pass-through track. Pass-through track's gonna be the closest one because it's the shortest. And then the staging tracks here and here. Same thing on the other side of those occupancy IR infrared detection. Over here, this will be the passing track, the through track, and then the 3 storage staging. So I can, in essence, store 6 trains back here. Eventually I'll have enough engines for 6 trains, that'd be nice. But these are a system that is by, I think his name's Rob Paisley. Found a good system. His boards are down here. On the top, that's the Switch 8 by NCE. That works really well. It controls all the tortoises that are back here, so I can do it remotely from the main room. And the Paisley boards are down here. And that I've hooked up with some, I guess it's like a Cat5 type wire. These go to the sensors underneath through the tracks. These will go out through to the main room. And that will eventually go all to this bunch here. I do have one LED hooked up just as a test, and it is working fine. As I pass a car or my hand, finger, whatever, over the infrared detectors, the IR goes on. So if it's covered, if it's dark, the IR goes on, the LED goes on. And that will show me the positions of all the trains. On the ends, I have it down at the beginning of each track. Down here, I have 2 in the middle, in essence the end of the first section of staging and the end of the second section of staging. And I have it at the beginning of the tracks all down here. And then I also have current sensing occupancy detection, and that's with the BD20s by NCE. That's what all these are here. Again, this is a little test LED that I have hooked up there. So once I have a car, it definitely picks up engines. The light comes on when there's current being used or a draw in this particular track. But also, once I install more resistors, surface mount resistors on the wheel bases or wheel sets on my freight, that senses that also. I think it's like 10,000 ohm little surface mount resistors I use, and that will pick it up. So no matter what part of the train, I will have sensing by current and also by infrared, and they are all over the place. So I can sense it in the turnout areas once they get on the main storage tracks, and then once they get up to the IRs, once I see that light come on, I know to stop the train so it doesn't go into the next section. If I see this light come on, and I try and stop the train and it coasts and turns this light on, I know it went too far. And if I try and park another train in here, they'll probably hit. Cornfield meat. Okay, let's get out of here and move on. That's a lot of work. I was spending a lot of time on that electronics. Coming out of the narrow gauge incline, and the 1-track staging comes out of this hole, what I showed you. It'll snake through this scene. This is going to be a mountain scene all in here. Just 2 passing tracks. I don't think there's going to be really an industry here. That could change, but for now it's just going to be a pass-through scene. Poke through here up to the mine mount, and that's where the big mine scene will be. So I've planned quite a few different types of the shafts and stuff. And then again, the final scene wraps around up to the lumber yard, or lumber area, the logging area. Let's see, anything else that I've been doing here? That's pretty much it. I've been working on track, working on wiring. occupancy detection, structures, tweaking the turnouts and tweaking the tracks. As my skills get better with these turnouts, I will probably be pulling up some of the original ones and putting a little bit better quality ones. Fast tracks work great, but with anything, as you do them, your skills get better. So some of these were, this is the first section that I did. They run fine, and I'll try new ones, and they may run even finer. Quick question here. I'm looking to service, I probably will have one more turnout in this section so I can service the cannery here and in whatever other industry I might have along this waterfront. I might split it off and have a team track or go to another industry. Any thoughts on that? Write it down in the comments below. Email me, however you want to do it. Any thoughts on a good manufacturer of a mine, hoist house and crane and all that stuff, and getting into the cars? I have a couple ideas, but if you have any good ideas. Oh, another one that I haven't shown you is the LEDs under here. These are the strip lights. They're self-stick. They come in a 16-foot roll, and I installed those, and that really brightens up this lower deck. I will show you as I unplug it, you can see the difference. You see it darken right up. Eventually I'll get more strips. That will go on the upper valance. They'll go behind there and shine down on the upper deck also. And they'll light that up. And above Gasko yard, I have these 2x2 fixtures, basic room lighting fixtures. But I may add more lighting to shine down on Gasko. As I'm working, I'm noticing the back scene where the switchback is and stuff is getting a little dark. I'm not sure if I want to do the strip lights or no, I'm going to leave it unplugged and show you how I did it. The power comes up here through the wall. I just tuck that up and it runs back to the transformer. I can show you that in a minute. And I just put some, this is actually screen molding that you would put on the old-fashioned screen doors or windows. And then it's just a little bit wider than the actual stick-on LEDs. These are, there's a split in solder pads every 3 inches. So you can cut it anywhere you want, solder on leads to that, the power, and cut it to whatever you want. I have the main power coming in here on each section. It'll come down this area here. You can see I cut it, soldered wires on, and that wire goes over to the next sections here. You can see a branch as I make the turn. They make nice straight runs, but they don't make curves that well. So I just bridge that gap with the wire to the next section, which I cut to whatever length I want, and continue all the way down. 16 foot on this run, just made it. So it covers above Seaside, goes across a little bridge area, all across Smithville, and underneath the upper area where the logging is, and that all shines down. I have 2 strips of warm white and 1 cool, I think it is, just to give a wider spectrum of light. And you plug it back in, you can see the color difference. As you see, the front one is a more yellow light, the middle one's a little bluer, it's the cool, and then another yellow in the back. That gives a good range of light across the whole thing, plus the room lights. Again, that'll be done above it also to light the bottom deck. And the transformer that I got is right here. And that is a 30 amp. Has a lot of different ports, so I can actually have 3 different, I guess breakers almost, you would call them, in 3 different sections. So one will go up to the upper deck, and the other one will probably go over to, and I'll feed over where Gasko yard is. And that can be adjusted for 115 or 210 volt coming out of the house, so you can go European or American. That's pretty much it. One discussion that I heard people talk about is using the Houma Soap for roadbed. I got sheets that I've used. It was a 4x8 sheet. I ripped it down to 32 inches, and then I ripped those into individual widths, I think like 1.25 inches wide or so, and they work well. This works for the straight run. I think I explained some of this when I was handling the track. Here in this section you can see I use some kerfs on the inside just so it can bend around radius. I think it's pretty tight. That works. And general Houma Soap is 1/2 inch thick. I rip it down so that it ends up being about 3/16 because of the kerf of the blade. I center that right in the middle of the 1/2 inch upright section, and it'll split the Houma Soap right down the middle, and you end up with a 3/16 road bed instead of a 1/2 inch high road bed. It works really well. I've heard other people use it as a spline system, making it like 1 inch, 1.5 inches high, and using 3 or 4 strips, screwing them all together. Very similar to, it's actually exactly the system that another very popular layout, North Metro Model Railroad. They had a real nice system, and their track looks beautiful in that. You can go to their website or their YouTube channel and see how they did that with this screwed together spline road bed with Houma Soap. I may do that on another layout future in my life. That looks like it worked well. I would still probably use plywood and sheets similar to this in yard areas like this area, but any kind of long runs like this, long stretching stuff in here, long stretches, I would might try that spline eventually in the future. But let's get this layout going. I think that's it. I'll try and get more updates sooner. I do have a lot that I filmed. I just didn't spend time to edit it. I had a few people ask for part 2 of the hand laying track. I started editing some of that. That is actually done in this section. I'll try and sit down and find some time to finish editing that and get that posted up for you guys. Alright? Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Keep model railroading. Even if you're sitting there in the train room and just looking around and thinking about something, you're still putting time in to model railroading. And it's a good hobby, I'm telling you. Alright. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and I'll catch you in the future.